after that. So he'll definitely be a threat. Mr.Yagut he always has interesting decks. I'm not sure how well he's gonna do. I don't think he's gonna win this. To be honest, there's two stronger players, in my opinion. But how to play against him comes with a lot of ladder practice and a lot of practice with teammates. And if you're comfortable enough with a lot of decks right now, you can. And yeah, I don't think you should ban it out. It's not one of those classes that normally like takes over a series. Like Druid, for instance, is one of those classes that just like 3-0s people left and right.
Okay, so I'm just going to cut you off there because I think they're actually going into the game. Both players have banned Druid. So Mr. Yagut's going to have Warlock, Warrior and Rogue, and SuperJJ is going to have Paladin, Mage and Lock. So we'll get to see if Indura's call is correct there.
So we see JJ playing what looks like to be Malilak, and interesting, he has a Ooze tech. I'm pretty certain it's because he knows he was going to face Yagut in the semi-finals before submitting his deck. Like, they were aware of the opponents, so he knows that Yagut is going to play Rogue, and he's just going to make a lineup that's decent against Rogue. That's like at least a strategy I would do if I was put in his situation.
And what do you think about the matchup, this exact match? We've got the Warrior. Obviously, the Ooze is going to be handy there, and you were right about JJ. He's going to play the Lock. Is this just really difficult for the Warrior to make any progress?
It also depends on the list, because if the Warlock plays double Hellfire, it's really good against patrons, and I think definitely that Malilak is favorite. It has pretty strong mid game, and it has good AoEs for the patrons. It has ways to answer all the questions that the patron player asks.
Cool. Fami, have you played much of this matchup?
I'm actually not in the game right now. So
okay. Cool.
Gotta give me a second to get in the game.
Yeah, I'm trying to get them to add you now. But,
so we're seeing the Warrior, the patron, playing this new tech that Crane was talking about the other night, as it happens. The Kokran Elite in the patron. How does that function, Indrin? Why is Kokran Elite a thing in patron now, when traditionally Warrior doesn't particularly want the...
Well, it's a good tempo card. It is pretty versatile. It can be used to clear like 2/4, like a Bran or a League or something like that, with just like 2/2s, and that's really strong against classes that can't ping. But also with the OTK being removed, they don't have Gromma's Burst. It's a good way of like putting pressure to opponents. In some control matchups, you can kind of like reach, and it kind of helps in that regard. So it's like, alternatively, you can play Shredder as well. It's kind of like more like a value minion to play on 4, a more sticky minion. Or you can also play Gnomish Inventor in that spot if you value the cycle more. So it's not like a clear-cut card you play in Patron Warrior, but a lot of people like to do it.
Yeah, I've seen it in several matches now. And we see there how much value he just got out of that Kokran Elite. It's made an implosion happen, it's killed a minion, and it's stayed on the board. So it's finally been killed off sort of 2.5 for 1 or something, just because he gets the choice. And
that
also,
implosion for 2 is so unfortunate for JJ, because he, Yagut had no answers for implosion. So it's not like usually Patron has a hard time dealing with those. But right now, Yagut has drawn none of his whirlwind effects, so it would just be devastating if that hit before.
Yeah, it's interesting, sort of, JJ's probably not that bothered that it didn't hit for 4, because he would expect it to get cleared, but he'll be bothered when he sees it back and realises that there's no way of getting rid of these things at the time.
That's a really big draw, the Despite there. Otherwise he would be in really big trouble.
I'm in the game. I'm in the game now, guys. So.
Okay, cool.
Alright. So... actually, Kokran is a really interesting addition. Like, normally you have the weapons to deal with the small stuff, right? Like, I feel like Kokran is another way. Like, I feel like it's more one of those cards you want to finish the game. Like, just because you don't have the Warstone charge anymore, it's just like one of these that like, deals like the last points damage. Like, I don't know, like, you can stack Inner Rage on it or something like that. Just do like a 10 damage burst with the Despot or something like that. Just to end the game.
Yeah, you're not always gonna draw Grom in time as well. It's a pretty versatile card. That's a lot of people like to use.
It's actually a really interesting matchup. I feel like the Warlock is like way favored in this matchup because you don't have the big flooding combo anymore. So the Warlock just has to have his board clears at the right time to deal with the patrons, and then like Dr. Boom or Grom or like Shredders get dealt with like Dark Bombs, big game hunters, right? Like Warlock has so much time in this matchup to just tab away like.
Only 2 mana left. Feels bad, man.
You top decks it, but oh well. Should have model coiled first, I guess.
Yeah, but he wants to utilize the spell damage on the mortal coil to clear this. I agree with JJ's play here. I think it's best to Drake first, and then it's not even that costly to kill it without a BGH, but the chance of him drawing BGH is kind of low. I see an abusive in his deck that's like, then you run 2 BGH if you run abusive. So, but still, like the odds of drawing it is not big enough.
Like we've seen it for quite a long time now. The abusive sergeant into big game hunter was pretty popular in the alt meta lock as well, right? We had the double BGH, double abusive. We just like had the mid range lock with all the Imp Gang Boss cards, right? It used to be just either Zoo or Handlock, right? And now we have so many variants, actually.
Yeah, now there's like Melee, Reno, Zoo, Handlock, like Demon Handlock, regular Handlock. There's even Combo Lock with Arcane Golems, BO, Faceless. There's so many different variants of Warlock.
Actually,
and they're all like pretty viable. Like they're all pretty viable.
With the abusive in hand, could this be a combo lock? Like variant?
No, it's just to combo BGH. Combo the second BGH.
I think so too. Like, I don't even know how Warrior wins this matchup. It seems so impossible to like just defend against all these like, onslaughts of just like high health minions. We only have 2 executes.
Yeah, now he even has the health 5 Yagut draws the patrons. I don't think you're gonna use it here. It's too valuable.
No, there's no way. Just sacrifice your Drake and then just like play an Azure Drake. Azure Drake.
And
like play
Twilight.
that Twilight first, so you get the taunt obviously, but you don't draw first in this regard. Just see a Bran here. Bran is just pretty sick in this deck. If you get it together, like there's so many things you can combo it with. You can combo it with the Azure Drake, Twilight Guardian, like heal bot for 16 heals, just pretty sick. Just like
and then Corruptor for 6 damage, and like with Peddlers to get more value that doesn't draw from the deck. That's pretty good against, for example, Control Warrior, where games tend to go longer.
Does Yagut has Rogue in his lineup?
Yeah, he does.
Well, what's his last deck? Like, Rogue.
So Druid was banned, so he's
Warrior. Yagut's got Warrior, Rogue, and Warlock.
Yeah, Warlock.
So, like, I'm not sure what kind of Warlock it is, but I would assume you would go Rogue against this deck. It's a really interesting matchup. I've played it quite a lot over the last month. It's a 50-50 matchup in my opinion. And, like, if Yagut is, like, we all know he's a specialist in Rogue, so actually quite interested how comfortable he is in that matchup, because I think it's, if you draw well enough with Rogue, I think you favor. But like if you don't draw well, obviously you just get like wrecked by all the Twilight Drakes and Azure Drakes. But
I think that Rogue is slightly favored, but it's really hard to tell. It's not by a lot, for sure.
Interesting, interesting combo, yeah. Pretty cool. Didn't even think of that. I would just Dark Bombed it and like play the heal bot or something. But he's probably like got a Molten somewhere in the deck that he wants to play. Do you think he plays a Molten in this deck?
Oh no, you don't play Moltens. No one does right now.
Okay. I'm like, there's so many decks. It's like it's really hard to keep up with all the decks.
I mean, it would definitely be a surprise factor. I've just considered it because no one plays it, so there's some merit to it.
You have so much heal in this deck, like.
Yeah. I don't think it would be bad to play Molten in it, honestly.
It's more kind of a dragon deck, right? I wish we would have the deck list to just like.
There's so many synergies in this deck, so it's kind of hard to like cut cards because they all work so well together. You don't really need Molten. You can just like heal out of range.
Yeah, that's true. It's just a grind deck. It just grinds you down with the mid-range minions. Like Patron is, it reminds me of like the old grinder mages. Like just you don't really have a win condition. You just outlast them. Just tap until they don't have any cards anymore. Just it's a really cool archetype of deck.
Yeah, well, this like the difference is like this has melee, because that's finished.
Yeah, okay. Let's see if he takes the board.
Reliquary Seeker can sometimes be really good because sometimes you actually have like a lot of minions.
I see it quite a lot in the zoo decks with like Ooze and Sea Giants. Oh, he gets his biggest minion on the Gadget Sandjaster. That's pretty good. I guess he didn't have many minions left. He only has 5 cards left in the deck, and that's one thing you can run into with this deck. If you don't kill him fast enough, you might just get fatigued sometimes.
But even then, like you have the brand Dark Peddler combo to like get some extra reach, some extra value and stuff like that. It's just so versatile, this deck. I really like it. I think it's definitely one of the best decks right now. Maybe not on ladder, because Malilog kind of struggles against decks that's a little bit faster, like Paladins and Aggro Shamans. But like in tournaments where you kind of want to have a deck that counters the control-ish decks, like Rhinolog or something, like this deck literally can't lose to Rhinolog.
Alright, I think game's just over here. I think he's dead on board. There's nothing he can do. He can taunt up, get some patrons. But with a Hellfire and just the Magical Sulfur in hand, there's no way he survives this turn. So I'm pretty sure, like, let's start with the next game because this game's over. I'm pretty sure Yagut is gonna play Rogue. Like,
unless maybe like if he has like an aggressive Zoo, that might be better. But I seriously doubt he could play that. So I think we're just gonna see a Rogue here.
I don't even know. There's not that many aggressive Zoos, right? Like the Zoos I see do have like the Sea Giants and the Void Caller, like Malagoth. Not Malagoth.
Yeah, that's like the Void Caller's like the mid range. But there's also I've seen someone today with like Echoing Ooze and Reliquary Seeker.
I've seen that too, yeah.
And Sea Giants.
It's really interesting.
It right.
Alright, we got the Rogue here.
We have to remember JJ has the Ooze tech card, so I think that's like kind of like changed the matchup. Like it's so close, this matchup, so I think maybe JJ is slightly favored now.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like one card is going to do like a ton, but it's still really, really good to have it on your deck.
And he's shown it as well, so he doesn't even need to draw it for Mr.Yagut to actually have to play around it. And he saw it in the previous game, so he knows it's there, which will help him because he knows it's there. But it's also when it's not in the other guy's hand and you're playing around it actually slows you down.
Yeah, but against Rogue, you're always gonna find like a turn where you can play it.
Mm-hmm.
It's really interesting that SuperJJ keeps Hellfire. Usually in this matchup, I tend to go for like minions. I think like Twilight Drake is the best card you can have against Rogue in your opener.
Yeah.
But just like in-game boss is fine as well. But I kind of like to go for the Twilight Drake. The Twilight Guardian's is okay, but it's not like perfect. It's kind of easy to kill. And then if you have like a Corruptor follow-up, you're usually good.
I think we're just gonna see the oil here. I would just play the oil. It's a very clean kill on the gang boss. Especially because you don't have a fan or something like that yet. Like he plays the version, Yagut plays the version with the Earthen Ring. Like I personally like to play, like he plays Earthen Ring while Belcher. I like to play one heal bot and a big game hunter. But I think his version is probably better in this matchup because there's no giants in the stack, right? So
yeah, exactly. There's no big judgeable target unless JJ plays Boom. We have seen that in some Malilogs. But a lot of people have caught Farseer for big game hunter because there's a lot of targets right now.
Yeah, this is a good hand for Rogue though. It's a really, really good hand. Like if he draws into like this matchup can go 2 ways. Like it's gonna be really grindy. Like if the Rogue has to play into the style of the Warlock usually wins. Like if you have to grind out the game, you usually just run out of damage. But like if you can push board control and then just like shut him down with like a low step turn, something like that, it's pretty easy to just burst out the
exactly.
Warlock.
And if you play for the Warlocks game plan, you are you're gonna have a bad time because they have taunts and they can heal for
a million,
16 in one turn. So
yeah, or if you play the long game, you basically have to have your prep sprints at the right time and just overwhelm him. It's just about overwhelming the Warlock in this matchup. Also against Reno. Against Reno, it's a little bit different because you have to be aware of the Reno sometimes. But
we see those that he has so much respect for the teacher. He knows what he can do, so he has to Dark Bomb it instead of playing a Twilight Guardian.
Yeah, especially because he just played this Hellfire's only AoE he has in hand, right? So he has to respect all the 1/1s. Right. But it's a really good hand for Yagut. He has all of his minions. If he just draws into a sprint, a Blade Free, or something like that, he can just build a board with a low thep SI backstab, and then he just has 10 damage already on board with whatever he draws as burst from his hand. So we'll see. We're gonna see a popular game plan against rogues always remove the minions from the rogue stack, right? So they can't combo, they can't use the spell damage. Oh, my spectator just died. All right.
It's an interesting decision that he chose to tap before doing the Soulfire play because JJ had the Maligard and Ooze in his hand, but the rest was those he could live without. I think there was some merit to thinking if the average suspected value of the card you tapped into. So was it higher or lower than this? I think it was higher than the average hand here, so I would consider doing it first, but I don't know if you could really have drawn into an answer to a Drake. Could he have, if he drew Bran? No, he didn't have mana to PGH it.
Let's see. This is one of these times where Rogue has a really good starting hand with a lot of minions and a lot of pressure on the board, and Warlock has to catch up now. That means he has to tap a lot. That means he gets lower, gets really unlucky with the implosion. It's a really bad boost as well. So I think this looks really, really good for the Rogue here.
And it is really unfortunate if SuperJJ made this lineup to counter Rogue.
Yeah. Just a wrist straight to the face. Does he have lethal? 6. Yeah, he has exactly lethal. Alright. So those are those cases I talked about, right? He couldn't deal with the minions anymore because he ran out of AoEs. He has a lot of minions in his hand that are just bad, in this scenario. He has a double big game abusive that are just not very useful against Rogue.
He had really, really bad drop. He was lacking the Twilight Drake and the Corrupt. He was lacking a lot of stuff.
But that's also how he mulliganed, right? He kept the Hellfire, didn't look for the big minions.
Yeah, so I'm surprised about the Hellfire keep, honestly. It's so situational. I guess there's some more merit because Yagut is playing a more minion-heavy Rogue with Boom and Belchers, I think. I don't know if he plays Boom, but he usually does.
Yeah, he plays Boom, for sure. Okay. Well, I think he just played scared. He used the Hellfire really early on a Drake and I don't know, a really small minion. And just used the Hellfire coil.
He had a 25 Hellfire coil, but to be honest, there was no other options there. I just feel like it's too slow against Rogue doing stuff like that. Especially against minion-heavy Rogue that always will have a on-curve play. There's so many 5-drops, so...
I'd rather play a heal bot early, just stall the game a little bit. Just let him develop his board more so he can get a bit better board clear. So
he had the heal bot option as well, that's true. So definitely some consideration there.
But you were definitely right here. You see the Freeze Mage from JJ. The really bad starting hand though. But the Rogue's hand isn't better. Rogue has 2 or 3 turns to set up in this matchup. It's not as bad as it used to be. I think it's a lot better for the Rogue nowadays. Especially if you play Boom and the heal bot.
But the thing is, I think Yagut only plays 1 oil. That's gonna hurt him a little bit.
I don't think so, to be honest. The oil doesn't really matter. You have to. It's the same thing. You have to build a board, and then you shut him down with low tap normally. I personally play big game big game Healbot, which makes this matchup a lot better because you have answers to even after the Alexstrasza. Yagut doesn't play that, so I don't really know how that particular is gonna be. He has the low tap on his hand now, so we'll see how he develops the board. Pretty good draw here for JJ with the Acolyte. Gets to draw some cards.
I don't think he's gonna play heal bot. It's not always it comes down to it. Usually as rogue you wanna be the aggressor and like shut them down before they can threaten you. So sometimes the heal bot is gonna be irrelevant.
Yeah.
But it's probably still gonna move his percentages down a little bit in this matchup.
Yeah, I think with the particular Yagut is playing, the freeze match is favored, but I don't think he had the best draw this game. Let's see if he plays the Blizzard here. That would be the very defensive option. But like, I don't see like
what would the other option be?
Yeah, it's true. He doesn't have a lot of other options here. Fireball maybe.
Ping Thalnos pass or something like that.
No, that's a really bad turn, especially if you just have the freeze.
Yeah, it's 7 damage.
Thing is, next turn we're gonna see the Lothap come down for sure. I think like I would play the Lothap next turn because it's the last turn you can play it before 8 mana Frost Nova. So he can't really clear anything here. Like the most defensive play you could do is like a Fireball Doomsayer. I'm just gonna just go for the Doomsayer and the ping. Almost there. Alright.
Usually Doomsayers will never proc in this matchup, so
yeah, that's very rare. See, we have the spell damage still on board, so Fan is 2 damage, Backstab is 3 damage, so that almost...
You can like Prep Fan Lothap or something.
Yeah, you could Backstab, Prep Fan, play the Lothap, then the mage basically has nothing to play next turn but an Iceland, so it puts a lot of pressure and you can just back it up next turn with a sprint. I actually really like that.
Yeah.
You just backstab the... Actually, you don't even have to backstab. You just prep the Fan, run the Drake in to the Doomsayer, run your face into the Doomsayer.
I mean, you trade backstab for a little bit of damage if you use it, but it's also nice to have in your hands.
Actually, I don't really care about backstab in this matchup, to be honest. It's like, what do you use it against? There's not that many minions. Just gonna go for the prep Fan into Lothap. Really like this play. It's really aggressive. That's how you have to play this matchup. Just if you have a board and you can push more damage with it, it's great. Like use your Lothap. Don't wait till like after Alex Graza, because then you already lost if they have a block up. So use it now before you can freeze your board. That's another guaranteed 12 damage on board, which brings him already to like 9 HP. So
I guess we're just gonna see like a Scientist and a ping on the Lothap. That's not really much else you can do. At least he's gonna get a barrier from that.
Yeah, he has a second block in hand, which is good. But it really depends on how much damage he can push here. He has
I think it's 19.
12, 17. He has 20 damage. Like because the Viscerate has 1 spell damage, right? So
it's 19, I think.
9, 12, 17 plus 3, 20. The Viscerate's 5 damage.
Yeah, I know. But he had 12 on board, then plus 2 with Deadly. It's 14, then 19 with this.
No, it's 3 damage. Because you have the dagger. It's also 1 damage. Whatever.
Whatever, it is absolutely pointless.
Yeah, he can proc here, because he has exactly the 8 he needs. So that puts a lot of pressure on the freeze match. He managed to clear, or to freeze last turn, I mean. So he can get a barrier with the Scientist, and then Flame Strike, or like Flame Strike first, and then actually he has to like trade in first and then Flame Strike. But that only gives him 8 HP, and he's like dead to a Blade Flurry, a Viscerate, something like that. So it's gonna be a really interesting turn here. See what he does. He can guarantee himself 1 more turn with a block. And then just play like a Cone of Cold in the middle of the board.
Yeah, usually you wanna position Thalnos in the middle somewhere.
Yeah. But it doesn't matter, he has too many minions, he can just always block 3 big minions with like... Unless he like plays it like that in the middle.
I mean, he do have all his high attack in the middle.
Yeah. Cone of Cold isn't that usual right now, is it though? I'm not gonna.
I don't know. Maybe not, but there's like no downside of playing around it.
So he's gonna go for the block. So he wants to guarantee one more turn. Or does he? No, like, if he plays Emperor, he doesn't care. Alright, so like if he wanted to guarantee one more turn, he would have played the Cone of Call and ping. So he just wants to set up for his next turn. I think Rogue's in a really good position here, especially if he draws another wrist rate. No, Sap is fine too though. He has 9, 10. He has enough to proc, right? So
Yeah.
just Saps the Emperor. Doesn't even need. Actually, he can just kill it too.
Yeah, I guess you should just kill it, right?
I like the Sap better. Like, what are you afraid of? Like, he's not gonna play it again.
Yeah, so
Set up
I guess he has no damage in hand, so he's just playing around the defensive Alex by having 15 on board.
Yeah, especially because he has another sprint on hand too. Just like that's basically like you're gonna draw into a Vis Raid or like a Flurry something. It's gonna go for Alex. Gonna freeze as many things as possible, I guess.
Yeah.
Let's see if it's enough. We have Ice on the Lothap, another Ice on the Shredders. So we have 2 damage on board. With the
that's nothing in
daggers,
Yagut's
so
hand
5.
right now. Ooh, that's an oil.
It's not enough though.
No, I don't think it's gonna be enough.
I'd like to see the sprint here.
Yeah.
Like you know your board's gonna get wiped next turn. There's no point in playing more minions. This is the point where Big Game Hunter comes in really handy. Just remove the Alex. Alright. Is that lethal? Oh no, he just wants to kill the Alex. Alright, that makes sense. Heals another 9 to SuperJJ, and he's in really big trouble here because like Rogue has another like 2 boards at least on his hand. He has Dr. Boom, he has a teacher, he has oil, like he has everything he wants, and like JJ is down 2 blocks, 1 barrier, and Alex. So there's basically no way he wins this game.
So he's playing the novice, so he must be playing Reno, right? There's always hope when that's the Reno.
Oh, interesting. But I don't think he could. Oh god.
Oh,
That just wrecks. Oh boy. So he has the oil, which is 4. Plus the SI, which is 7. Not quite lethal yet. Just plays the boom. Doesn't even need to play spells. Doesn't even need to give the mage an oil or something, you know. Just give him oil so he can combo down his loot hoarder. Right.
yeah, so he had to Flame Strike Fireball, but then I guess you would not give him a Fireball, yeah, so he could technically be alright, because Joe would die before he was giving a Fireball away. But there was just no way that JJ could ever come back in that game.
Yeah, he threw away all of his winning conditions. Even if he like has the Reno and just heals to 30, like, you're just gonna get like beaten down again by like boom.
Exactly. That's just gonna be constant minion pressure. He's never gonna have time to breathe.
Oh god, this already looks terrible for the Paladin. He has a good starting hand with like in every double matchup. That's really a great starting hand, right? You have a 1-drop, you have a juggler. Seems great, and then you look over to the road.
Then the opponent has backstab SI, he has Spanish.
This is a great matchup for the rogue.
Yeah, it's a lot better. Like Secret Pally can beat rogue, but it's a lot harder for mid-range Pally.
Yeah. It's better for the Paladin if they don't play big game in rogue, because like it's really easy to kill a challenger if just like. If you have a challenger on an empty board and the avenge procs on the challenger, you just get to BGH it. Get a good cleave here. 6/6 cleave. Pretty good on turn 3 while clearing your opponent's minions. Coghammer is not gonna do too much here.
You gotta have. Oh, he's not even gonna hit into it.
You can really punish him here with a prep fan into SI, yeah. It's a pretty good play. Or just like, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's gonna get punished now for not hitting into it. But like taking 18 damage doesn't sound too fun either.
It's true. Like this game's like already over. It's not even funny. He's just gonna drop the shredder next turn. It depends on how defensive he wants to play here. Fan. Not the best draw, but definitely good in future turns. Yeah, I think Face is just the right option here. Even if he has a Blessing of Kings on the mini bot, it's not that big of an impact. He's gonna lose his Gleef anyway here. He gets to clear the board a little bit. It's a hyena. Unfortunately, there's no beasts in the rogue deck. So he's kind of stabilizes here on 12. But he was like, just the teacher draw. Gonna be another threat here. I think the trade's correct here. It's really hard for Paladin to deal with the 5 HP minions.
Yeah.
So keep off Older Man is normally good if you have a true silver up, but he doesn't here, so just gonna be the 3/3 teacher that survives. We'll see. He still has one more turn to kill until he can play Boom. So probably just fan and Viscer on the keeper. And go Face.
He could have. No, never mind.
So the score, like, what's the
he
score?
could have also ignored it and just healed, right? And saved the Vis for burn. What do you think about that?
Could have, yeah, Sab. Yeah.
Like, just heal his face and go face. Just ignore the minion. Get another minion on the board.
So lethal 3, 4, 5, 6 now. I don't like the Sab here. I don't see why he plays the Sab. I would just play the Boom here. Especially
Yeah, I'm really surprised by that as well.
Because he has the Sab for the tier next turn. Now he kind of like has to run into that. I don't like that. Like, he's probably still gonna win this game because it's like pretty unlosable, but that's a mistake. This you don't win if you play lay on hands here. Yeah, I don't know. This I didn't like the plays here. I don't like the Sab. Sure, you removed like a shredder, but like you just want to kill him at this point.
I think SuperJJ is just thinking there must be a reason why he saps there, and he must have.
Okay, maybe that he has a second sap or something. Like
yeah, like he's thinking. He knows Yagut is the good rogue player, so he's thinking there must be a reason why he saps, so he must have a lot of damage.
I mean, he also goes down to 1, so there's not that much. It's not likely. So Yagut just takes the series of the rogue.
Yeah.
3-0.
That was pretty convincing.
Yeah.
I'll say.
Going
like,
straight through with Rogue again.
Yeah. And you asked if banning Rogue is a good thing, right? So he thought in this matchup that the Freeze Mage is the counter